that's one of the major problems right now for the Democrats is we haven't aligned yet. There's lots of postmortem write-ups that we were too woke. There are other postmortem write-ups that we weren't woke enough. We haven't aligned. I mean, I know there are people who say, "Oh, it wasn't a landslide. It wasn't a mandate. It was. It absolutely was." Democrats lost ground in every single county in America. We lost
Let me
every
let me let me
single
ask let
thing.
me ask you about that point. What you're
Yeah,
saying is correct. It's
yeah,
it's indisputable. Now you did win some
yeah,
Senate races, so it wasn't a
yeah.
full repudiation of the brand, but at a national level, it was. The people who disagree, the people who try to nibble around and say, "Well, Trump won the battlegrounds, but it was close and 100,000 vote difference," blah blah blah. Are those people deluded? Why would anyone have the position that it wasn't a big problem that needs to be addressed?
Um, I don't know what those people are. I haven't really dissected it. I think it's very, very difficult to look at what happened on November in 2024 and not think that it wasn't just a massacre to Democrats.
Yeah,
I can only speak for myself.
yeah.
Um,
And
uh,
what would be the building blocks of that? Was it trans? Was it immigration? Was it the economy? Was it Joe Biden's acuity and the denial of his loss of acuity? Which things would you put in the hopper to say this is what we need to address?
so I think all of the above, in all honesty. I mean, not to quote Jake and Alex's book, but the original sin was sort of running an 80 plus year old man who was not, as with it as they were telling us
Yeah.
was with it enough, and then asking us to not believe our lying eyes. I mean, I think that was a big
And explain why, given that he wasn't eventually wasn't the nominee. I know maybe it's too obvious to say, but I'd still like to hear you say it. Why did his running hurt the Democratic Party?
um for the reason I just said. The Democratic Party was running an 80-year-old sitting president who, as voters saw him give speeches and do the job, knew that he probably was not capable to serve another 4 years. I
And the
mean,
very
that was,
smart people, the very smart people around him, many of whom you know quite well, did they see that?
um, I mean, obviously you have to ask them.
Yeah. Well,
But
let me ask you this way:
it was a
how could
very
they not have
poor
seen that?
political strategy.
Yeah.
I don't, they should have seen it. I'm sure they
Had
should have.
had you had Bruce Reed's job or Steve Richetti's job, do you think you would have said to the Bidens, "This you shouldn't run"? Do you think you would have had the courage to do that?
Um, I think I would have seen it as my job to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And
again, I wasn't in the position, so
yeah, yeah,
there's
it's hard to
nothing
say
when
for sure if you're not there.
you're in these jobs. Can I just say, having been in these jobs, when you're in these jobs, there is nothing worse than backseat drivers and people coming
Yeah,
in after the fact and saying, "Oh my God,
yeah,
you should have done this, you should have done that." So I don't want to do that.
yeah. But
But
you did famously tell the Clintons, especially Hillary, stuff that was hard to tell her. Like you had the
yeah,
courage to do that.
yes, because
Yeah,
I do see it. I mean, when you're in those kind of positions, you do see your job as giving the best advice you can give, and they can either take it or not take it, but it
yeah,
is your responsibility to give the best advice that you can give
yeah.
based on not just your own, but based on data. That's the thing. That's the killer, is the data clearly showed he could
Right.
not win re-election, and
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
even before the debate. Why is there so little talk about Kamala Harris being the nominee in 2028?
Um, well, again, when you lose, despite I thought she did a very good job. I had uh I mean, she did an excellent job. Raised a shit ton of money, went from 0 to 60 in, a millisecond, narrowed the gap almost instantaneously. and, you know, was better on the trail than I thought she was going to be, for sure. Um, I think when you lose an election, again, you're like incompetent. Like
Yeah.
it's just the way the cookie crumbles,
Yeah.
in all honesty. And then given, you know, I think this is going to be true for anybody who was in the Biden administration. They're going to get that question. You know, did you not know that he was not, you know,
Right. Do you think
fit?
she did a good, do you think she did a good job addressing the very liberal positions she had taken as a candidate herself in 2020? Do you think she did a good job at that?
I think given the circumstances, what was it, 90 days? I forget
Yeah.
how
100
much time.
days or
It's
so.
100 days. Given the circumstances, she did an exceptional job.
On
Uh,
that particular point, because that's why I think why she lost. I think she
um,
lost. I think she lost because she couldn't define herself credibly as not believing the things positions she'd taken, and those positions were too liberal.
yeah, I think she lost because she couldn't distance herself from Joe Biden
Yeah,
as as
yeah,
well as she should have.
yeah.
Um,
What do you think of Pete Buttigieg? Why
I
isn't
like him
he?
so much. I
Yeah,
think he's really strong. I think he's
yeah.
really smart.
Has he asked you for advice?
He has not asked me
All
for
right, then
advice.
give it here. If he said, Patty, I want to, he said, Patty, I want to be president. What do I need to do this year, just 2025, to position myself as well as possible? What should he do?
I think he should work on the issues that he had on when he ran in 2020. In 2020, he ran in 2020, right?
Yeah,
Uh, Outreach to different parts of the party, whether that's African Americans, more populist, et cetera, um, and continue to be out there. Again, though, as I said, it's hard to be out there if you served in the Biden administration right now. It just is.